What's up, everyone? Chris Record here, and welcome to day 4 of the Paid Traffic Academy. Today, the focus is on retargeting. And Michael Crouch is going to come up in just a moment. He's going to teach you all about retargeting. My view on this is that retargeting is the cash cow. Retargeting ads are the cash cow. This is where you make the big money. Now, the reason is because you have the ability that if anybody ever clicks any of your pages or any of your links or anything like that, you have the ability to literally follow them around the web. Wherever they go, boom, you pop up in an advertisement to them. And what's cool is that you can get yourself featured on major sites, major news sites, major entertainment sites, Hollywood sites, movie sites, you name it. All of these huge sites, even on Facebook, even on Google, everywhere. You can get yourself everywhere, literally, following them around. It's the coolest thing ever, but you only pay for their impression. So you might be on a popular site, let's say like TMZ.com or something like that. And your person that clicked on your link earlier in the day, they're going over and they're checking some website, like some entertainment website, TMZ, and there you are, a big banner at the top with your ad. And they're like, wow, that thing that I looked at earlier is able to afford to advertise on TMZ? Or CNN or one of these big sites. Wow. It gives this bigger than life feel because you're able to advertise in these big platforms. But really, it looks like it's $10,000 or more to even be able to get there. But you're actually only paying like 50 cents. It's the biggest hack when it comes to paid advertising because the only person that can see that banner is that visitor. If anybody else goes there, it's not there. Just that visitor. Because what retargeting ads do is it drops a cookie on their computer, and now whenever they go, it connects back with the advertising platform and says, John Doe is now on TMZ, and display an ad to them there. John Doe went over here to CNN, display an advertisement there. Now John Doe's on Facebook, display an advertisement there. Now listen, I know a lot of you have seen this. Have you ever wondered, have you ever thought like you said something out loud and you thought your phone heard you, and then suddenly you see an advertisement for the thing that you were thinking or talking about on like Facebook, right? It's a crazy, the technology that's out there is crazy. Here's a proper use case example. There are lots of sites out there. You can just click on the site, just visit the site, and then almost immediately after, you start seeing ads about it on Facebook, on the right sidebar. Or if you happen to click an ad on something random that shows up in your Facebook newsfeed, you'll start seeing more ads like that. They'll start following you around. Retargeting ads are targeting people who have already shown interest in your product or service, and now you are remarketing to them. The last thing I'll say about this is that back in the old day of sales, the old school days, like 10 years ago, 20 years ago to 100 years ago, right? But in the last 10 years, it's all changed. The old school methodology, the old school saying was always, fortune is in the follow-up. Fortune is in the follow-up. And follow-up consisted of you actually following up with people. And nobody ever did it. And that's why they always try to teach you. You got to do it. It's the painful part of business. You're like, I already reached out to them. Just let them make a decision. Move on. Why do I got to follow up with them? Follow-up sucks because it's just so much time, but it's so necessary. What if you didn't have to do follow-up? What if you could just focus on getting somebody to click one of your links? And what if all of your follow-up was automated for the next 30, 60, 90, up to like 180 days, depending on the platform? What if you could just automate 6 months, up to 6 months of follow-up automatically without doing anything for pennies on the dollar? Because in order for somebody to make a buying decision, they often need to see something 5, 6, 7 times before they really are like, okay, I got to check this out. I got to do this thing. That's exactly what retargeting allows you to do. So to teach that today, we're going to bring back Michael Crouch. He's staying in town the whole week, so you guys can't get rid of him. He's here. He's going to hang with you guys. And we're going to take a minute to let him transition because I'm going to take my computer, go over there. I'm going to get in chat with you. And Mike's going to take his computer. Give him like, if you guys are live, give him like 60 seconds or so to set up. Okay? So with that being said, Michael Crouch, come on up. The floor is yours.
All right. Aloha, everybody. Welcome to day 4 of the Paid Traffic Academy. And we are super excited to be jumping into an awesome topic, talking about retargeting. Now, I'm going to jump over on the whiteboard and I'm going to kind of give you guys a visual of what retargeting is. But as Chris kind of pointed out to you, it is essentially the idea of showing an ad to somebody multiple times, because again, when we're advertising, generally it's cold traffic. So the first impression a lot of times is not going to be the one that gets people to purchase, right? There's like the old saying that, you know, somebody needs to see something 5 times or 7 times or 9 times before they purchase. So we don't know what the exact number is. It's actually different for everybody. Some it might be 1, some it might be 3, some it might be 5, 7, 9. Whatever the number is, we want to hit all of those people so that we hit them enough times so that they will go down our funnel and opt in or purchase from us or whatever our goal is going to be. So let me pop open the whiteboard real quick here. We'll go one more. And so essentially I want to draw out a basic concept of what retargeting is, because there's a few different ways that we can do it. So when we look at retargeting from a platform perspective, we have Facebook, we have TikTok, and we have Google. So these are going to be basically our 3 major platforms that we are going to do retargeting on. Now on this call, primarily we are going to focus in on Facebook, because this is going to be the easiest one for you guys to learn, and it's going to be the one that is essentially going to allow us to kind of have the broadest amount of different types of retargeting that we can do. We'll also talk a little bit about TikTok and Google as well, so that you guys understand them, but we're not going to get super deep into how to actually retarget on these platforms. But everybody should be starting here with Facebook when it comes to retargeting, because again, it is simple and it is very, very broad in how you can target. Now, the concept of retargeting is that you are going to have a place where a user is going to land. We'll call this the user here. And if this user lands where we want them to land, essentially we are going to put this tracking beacon on them, right? So if they land here, this is our little tracking beacon, kind of looks like a sun. We are going to go ahead and drop that tracking beacon on the person so that as they travel around the web, we can essentially show them those ads over and over and over again. Now, where this person goes is going to be essentially the different types of retargeting we can do. So we're going to talk about one of the simplest types of retargeting, which in this case, we could have somebody who lands on put a little play symbol here, on a video. So this could be retargeting that is based off of video views. So one thing to keep in mind here is we're going to talk about this thing called a pixel. Now, a pixel is kind of like this tracking beacon that is essentially going to allow us to follow somebody around on the web and to track them. Now, the reason that we have this thing called a pixel, which is basically a little piece of code, and I'm going to show it to you, is if someone is going outside of the platform, we need to use that. But we can also do retargeting when they stay on the platform. And in that case, we don't have to use a pixel, right? So imagine if someone is going to land on a video that's internal on Facebook. Because that video is on Facebook, we don't need to put a special piece of code anywhere because it's all tracked on Facebook. We can do the same thing with a lead ad. So if someone goes to a lead ad, and let's say they don't complete the lead ad, well, then we can do the same thing. We can essentially track this person and we continue to send ads to them over and over and over again until they complete the lead form. That does not need a pixel, right? But it's doing the same thing as a pixel. It's just that if it's a video view that's on Facebook or it's a lead form that's on Facebook, then we will not need to basically have any additional code because it's all on the platform, right? The term pixel comes from this line of code that we would put if we're trying to track things off of the platform. So in this case, it would be if it's off of Facebook or off of TikTok or off of Google. An example of that would be if you were to go to, let's say, a landing page. So if you were using a high-level landing page, and I'll give you guys an example of that, then in that case, you would basically what you would do is you would take that code and you would put it onto the landing page, and it would do the same thing, right? So if we're tracking video views, if we're tracking lead ads, or if we're tracking on a website, it's all doing the same thing. But remember that if it's happening on the platform, we don't need a pixel. If it's happening off of the platform on a landing page, an example, we do need a pixel, okay? Facebook is the one we're gonna jump into first, and this is going to be essentially, the first thing we're gonna look at here is we're gonna go into video views, and we're gonna look at retargeting there. We're gonna look at retargeting for lead ads as another example. And then another thing that we can do on Facebook is we can actually use emails as well. So if we have an email list, we can also use that for retargeting. Now this is super, super powerful to be able to use this on Facebook. Now, one of the things you're gonna need to learn when you're using the different platforms is that there are these little intricacies that frankly are a little bit annoying because most of the platforms are all the same, but there's little things that are different. So to do a little bit of a recap, again, Facebook, TikTok, Google, those are our major platforms, right? These are really the platforms that are going to represent like 90% of the internet, especially when you bring Google into consideration because they have basically 95% of the ad space on the internet, kind of like Chris was mentioning. I'm going to show you guys some examples of that, okay? But with Facebook, this is where we're going to start. And we're going to, again, be looking at retargeting based off of video views. We're going to be retargeting based off of lead ads. And we're also going to talk about retargeting based off of an email list. We're also going to be talking about lookalike audience. So we're going to be talking about when we have an email list, not only can we retarget or send ads directly to that actual email list, but we can also use Facebook's AI to essentially find people that match that email list, okay? So those are gonna be things that we're gonna do. Now, one of the things I was mentioning is that the platforms are different in some of the little intricacies. So with Facebook, one of the things that we really like is that you can use an email list, okay? For TikTok, you cannot as of yet. So TikTok does not allow for retargeting with email. And then kind of to really throw you for a loop, if you're doing retargeting on YouTube, which we won't be covering today, but for that, you can use an email after you spend $10,000. So they actually force you to spend at least $10,000 on their ad platform before they allow you to do retargeting with an email list, probably because they know how powerful it is. And this is why, again, we're gonna stick here on Facebook where we're getting a lot of the advantages and we don't have any minimums right like that. We don't have to spend $10,000 on Facebook. With Facebook, unlike YouTube, we can roll out and we can use emails right out of the gate. And I've done this on some campaigns very, very successfully. We've raised tens of millions of dollars in the fundraising space using this strategy, and it is very, very, very powerful because imagine you're getting people to engage with you. If you're getting their email, now you're able to put that email onto a custom audience and essentially market to them. So now when you're emailing people, they're also seeing you on Facebook and on Facebook's partners as well. And then you're able to take that email list, build what's called a lookalike audience, and then find, let's say, the top 1% of people in the US that match what your target demographic is or match what that custom audience is, okay? All right. So I'm gonna come on here, I'm going to share my screen, but it's really good stuff. So you guys are definitely gonna wanna know this because this is kind of one of the holy grails of marketing is knowing exactly how to do this. So let's talk about a couple things here. So let's go on to our ads manager. So when you are in Google Business Manager, you're going to be going to business.facebook.com, generally /settings. So that's going to get you where you want to go, business.facebook.com/settings. You want to set up a business account. And this is going to be, again, your hub. This is kind of your control hub for everything Facebook marketing, okay? And we're not going to use all of these things, but you're going to see here we have people, we have partners, we have pages, ad accounts, some different things here. So one of the first things that we're going to take a look at is this audience section. Now the way we can get to audiences is we come up, this is called a hamburger icon up here, these three lines. But if we click on this up in the top left, then we want to come here and click right here where it says audiences, okay? Once we click on audiences, it should open up this tab right here. Now, This is an example of an audience that I built here for investors. So these are all investors that have wired. And so you can imagine, as an example, if you had a list of buyers, or in this case of investors, then we could essentially upload this list. And now we have essentially our exact buyers that we can not only email because we already have their email, but we can also now start to show them ads on Facebook and on Instagram, right? This is going to build credibility because ultimately people want to see you, in multiple places, right? So it's that whole idea of being omnipresent, okay? So the first step to being omnipresent is going to be to really nail down this audience category here, which is kind of going to be one of the gates of kind of opening you up to retargeting. Now, what we want to do first is we want to click here on this blue button here in the top left once we're in the audience category. And we want to click here on custom audience. All right. Now, when we open this, we're going to see some different options. Now, the ones that we're going to use the most are going to be right here, video views. Okay, this one right here. Lead forms. This could be people who have submitted forms or people who have opened forms and haven't submitted them. And then another one we're going to use a lot right here is going to be customer list, right? Now, this is cool, again, because platforms like YouTube require you to have a minimum of $10,000 in spend before you can use this feature. Facebook does not have a minimum, and it is partially because of how powerful it is. And so we have an advantage here on Facebook that we can do this. This also is not available on TikTok either. This is exclusive to Facebook. And so what we would do here if we wanted to upload a email list is we would go ahead and click here, and then we would click next. And you're going to see here that you could import from MailChimp, but we could also just go ahead and click next. And then on this one, it's going to ask you if there's a customer value. So in your spreadsheet, if you want to, you can essentially add a value column, which will essentially allow Facebook to decide which of your customers are the most important, right? So like with my investor list, if I had somebody that invested, 200,000 versus 50,000, or somebody that invested $1 million, then I could put that in here, and it would essentially put a higher value on the ones that have spent more. Same thing with an atlas, or same thing with e-commerce, right? If you have a list of the pricing, then you can put that in here, okay? Since we don't have that, we're just going to go ahead and click no. And what that's going to do is it's basically going to treat everybody the same, right? So anybody that's on that list, it's going to basically give them the same priority. It's not going to give priority based on how much they spent, okay? And then here we would just go ahead and upload our file, and then we would go ahead and name our audience. And then essentially the last step would be we would match some columns, okay? So that's pretty easy. I'm going to go ahead and walk back over here to this list, which has already been uploaded using that exact same method, right? So once you complete that, you're going to have this list here. Now, this list becomes a custom audience that we can run ads to, right? So we can run ads directly to these people right here, okay? This is, again, retargeting because we have our customer list, and now we are able to send ads directly back to someone that has already engaged with us, right? So this is one of the easiest forms of retargeting, all right? Another thing that we can do is we can come in here into custom audience, and we can come down here to video, okay? We click there on video, and we click next. Now we can choose people who have engaged with a video. Now this is really, really cool for you guys especially, because Chris is the master of creating viral videos and rap videos and everything else in the marketing world. And so videos are one of these ways we can really, really, really dig in and use retargeting to its fullest. And again, because it's all happening on Facebook, you don't have to mess with any pixel codes. You don't have to copy and paste any code. It's all just right here, and it's, push the purple dinosaur simple. So what we're going to do here is we can choose what level we want somebody to engage with the video that we're putting up. Now, I put up the TikTok ads video that Chris had where he was showcasing penny followers. And I just used that as an example. And so what we could do here is we could say, okay, I want to look at everybody who has looked at it for at least 3 seconds, at least 10 seconds. And then this one is either people who have completed or did at least 15 seconds of the video, people who have watched 25%, 50%, 75%, 95%. Now, as you can imagine, as you kind of work your way up the ladder here, the numbers are going to get smaller, but you're going to get people that are more interested, right? So in the beginning, when you are first running some of these retargeting things, you might want to play around in this area just because you're going to have more numbers to work with. But as a video starts to run for longer and you have more data, well, then you can start to play over here with people who have watched most or all of the video, okay? So let me give you an example. So let's go ahead and just pick this one here, and this would be kind of showing the smallest amount of engagement, right? This is just anybody who has seen it for at least 3 seconds, right? And I'm just doing this because this is a new video so that we can get enough data to work with. Normally, I'm picking ones that are, a little bit more engagement. I might not go all the way up to 95%, but generally I want to have somebody watch, at least 10 seconds or let's say 25% of the video, okay? But for this example, we'll pick 3 seconds just so we can have enough data to work with. And we're going to go ahead and put that there. Your retention here, you can set it, bring that up for you guys. Your retention here, you can set up to a maximum of 365 days or anywhere in between. So we're going to go ahead and leave that at the max. And then this one, we are going to go ahead and title it. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and put in 3-second video view. Whoops. Video view for Chris Record. All right. And then we're going to go ahead and also choose the video. So up here, you're going to make sure that you choose which video it is. And so you're going to come into the proper Facebook page. So we're going to go into Adless Advertising. And boom, we're going to see that right here. So I have this video that I ran earlier. Again, it has 24 views, so it's a small audience just because I just ran it. And obviously that will grow over time. And so what we're going to do is go ahead and click confirm. And then we can go ahead and create the audience. All right. And that's basically it. Now, I'll come back in and just do another one real quick just so you can kind of see it one more time. Again, we're going to come in here, create an audience, go to custom audience. Let's go here to video views. Let's go next. Let's choose our content type. Now for this one, let's say we want people that watched at least 10 seconds, right? A little bit more engagement. This one, we could title it Chris Record 10 seconds. And go ahead and choose that video. And there we go. And I'm going to do one more with you just to have this because we're going to start building lookalike audiences off of this. And so I want to show you. So this one, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to come in here one more time. We're going to go video views. This one, we are going to do much more engagement. We're going to say we wanted them to, let's say, watch at least, we'll say 75% of the video. Again, go back, choose the video, click confirm. This one will be Chris Record 75% video view. And create audience, right? So really quickly right there, we can see that we have 3 custom audiences, right? 3 seconds for Chris Record's video, 10 seconds, and then we have people who will watch 75%, and this is going to populate this, okay? So the next thing that we can come in here and do with custom audiences is that we can retarget based on a lead form, okay? So this is cool because this is gonna target people who maybe opened the lead form but didn't complete it. So for this one, we can go ahead and select lead form, click next. For this one, we're going to go ahead and go into Atlas. And we'll see right here we have our Atlas Facebook example. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and select, that's the actual lead form. So that's like what we covered with Facebook lead ads yesterday. All right, so we can say anyone who has opened this form, and then we can say anyone who opened but didn't submit the form, or anyone who opened and submitted the form, right? So maybe we want to go with this one, who opened but did not submit the form, okay? So if they opened it and didn't submit it, we want to run back to them. Now for this one, you're going to see the retention is 90 days on this one. So we're going to go ahead and leave that at the max as well. And we could title this one, Chris Record, lead, we'll say lead ad opened, not submitted. Something like that, all right? So again, another example of how we can retarget based on how people are interacting with us, right? So we can come in here and we can say, okay, everybody that's opened our form but didn't go through and submitted it and didn't finish submitting it, let's go ahead and show that over and over and over again to those people and go ahead and click Create Audience, okay? Now, for this next one, what I want to show you, this is going to be based on creating a lookalike audience. So you might have seen on that one we just did, if we go to lead form and we go next, and let's go back into Atlas. So on this one, if we're in Atlas advertising and we pick that same form for the example, you would go here and say, okay, well, anyone who's opened and submitted the form. Okay, so in this case, we think to ourselves, well, why do we want to retarget these people? Why do we want to go back and send advertising to someone who's already submitted the form? Well, two things. One is maybe you want to offer them something else. So these are people who have obviously done the action that you wanted to do. And so maybe you have something else that you want to offer them. So that would be one example. But another really great example is using it for a lookalike audience, right? Because this is the exact demographic of who we want, right? These are people who submitted the form. So for this, we can go ahead and, again, leave this on 90 days. And these are going to be people who actually submitted. For this, we're going to go ahead and put in lead ad submitted. We'll put Chris on there. And go ahead and click Create, okay? Because when we're creating custom audiences, we're creating the audience to be a custom audience in the sense that we want to run ads directly back to those people. But we're also creating these custom audiences so that we can create lookalike audiences. This is going to be leveraging Facebook's AI to show us a demographic of people that most closely match the custom audience that we created, right? And so when we come in here and we go into, let's go ahead and we'll put in Chris. All right, so once I put in Chris Record here, you can see we brought up all of those that we just created, right? We have custom audience here for lead ad submitted, and we have one here for opened and not submitted. So this one for the lead ad submitted, if we go ahead and click on that one as the custom audience, that becomes the source. So now what we're going to tell Facebook is we're going to say, hey, Facebook, let's go into the United States. All right. And let's see, we might have to wait since this is pulling up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a different one for, let's see, actually, no, it pulled up. Let's try it one more time. This one might still be populating, in which case I will do a different example so you guys can see. Nope, we're good. Okay, cool. It was just a little glitch. Okay, so once we have selected our lead ads that we have submitted here, we've selected United States, now we can see that they're going to give us some options here of audiences. Now, the tried and true one that everybody uses is this 1% lookalike audience. And that means it's going to be the top 1% of people in the US that match the audience that you gave it, right? So if you guys essentially want to target this lookalike audience, this is going to be a top 1% audience. And so this is going to be 1% of the US population, which is approximately 280 million people that are on Facebook. So when we look at top 1%, it's going to take 1% of that 280 million, which is going to be basically 2.8 million, okay? So if we want to go ahead and just pick that, that's kind of our tried and true audience that we can play with that is going to match the people who have actually submitted a lead form. Now, if we wanted to get a little crazy with it, we could come in here and we could say, hey, I want 3 audiences. I want 0 to 1%, which is going to be 2.8 million. I want 1 to 2%, which is going to be 2.8 million. And I want 2 to 3%, which is going to be another 2.8 million, right? But in the beginning, what you guys should do is just stick right here to the top audience and just go after the top 1%. If this works and it converts, then you can start to grow it and essentially do more audiences, right? Or you can come back in here. If you've already done the 0 to 1%, you can just drag this and you can say, give me the next one. And then you can drag it and say, give me the next 1%, okay? So this is a really, really great way that you can leverage off of lead ads submitted. Now, we'll go ahead and create this audience. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on 1% and go ahead and click create audience, okay? Now, another way we can use this, again, is going to be with our email list. So as we start to grow our list, we can also build audiences off of that list. So for this one, where it's investors that have wired funds, we could do the same exact thing, right? We can come up here into create audience. We can go to lookalike audience, select our source. For this one, we'll go ahead and put investors wired funds. And then the exact same thing, right? We go ahead and put in United States. We get the same little thing going on here. There we go. So we go ahead and put in United States, and then we see here we have the top 1%. So this is going to do the same thing. Now, the cool part about this is, again, Facebook has 10,000 data points on every single one of us, right? So if you even have 100 people on a list, and Facebook has 10,000 data points on every single person, everything they've liked, engaged with, commented on over the years, then 100 people times 10,000 data points each equals 1 million data points just off of a 100-person list that can now go use Facebook's artificial intelligence to find your buyers, okay? So this is where the cheat code in the audience comes in, right? I told you guys the cheat code with the ad creative is that we can go and use the Facebook ad library, use the TikTok creative library, and find the ads that are working, right? Learn from the greats before us. With audiences, we're using AI, right? We're using Facebook AI to go ahead and find our proper audience. So when we start to get sales, or we start to get engagement on videos, or we start to get people opting in on leads, we can immediately switch from not doing any more interest targeting and now immediately switch into just letting Facebook do the heavy lifting for us, because they're going to be able to figure it out a lot faster, right? This is what I was mentioning before on a video where I said when Tim Berners-Lee, the inventor of the World Wide Web, started the World Wide Web, he had this vision. He had a vision of a World Wide Web that actually used, it's called semantic coding, but essentially could derive meaning from things, right? So Facebook has basically the first marketing database that leverages that, where they can actually dive into that semantic web or that web with meaning, and they can look at even a small data set of just 100 buyers, and they can pull, let's say, 1 million data points from those 100 buyers, and now they can use that data as basically a heat-seeking missile to go and find more people that are going to buy and match your buyers list, okay? So again, with this investor that wired funds, we want to go ahead, and this list is pretty small too. This is just maybe a few hundred, 300 people, but it represents, you know, tens of millions of dollars in funding. So we definitely want to find more people like this. And so we could come in here and we could say, hey, Facebook, give us the top 1% of people that match that. Go ahead and click create audience. and then wham bam, thank you ma'am, we've got another audience created, okay? Hope you guys feel pretty good about this. This is going to, again, kind of be that basic level and really where you should start when it comes to the world of retargeting. Because, again, these are all things that you can do that do not require you to put any kind of code on your site. Although we are going to cover that a little bit today. This is going to be one of the easiest ways to retarget, right? So we've learned now if we put out any video on an ad, we can go ahead and retarget to those viewers by using this video view retargeting. Now, you have to understand that the reason that this works so well is because videos get tons and tons and tons of views. Chris used to have a course called the 3-0 Club, and at that course, I think some guys were even getting 4 zeros, which means they were getting video views for 1/100th of a penny or less, right? So when you can spend that little to get a video view, as you can imagine, you can get millions of views for literally, dollars. And then once you have that demographic of people who have actually engaged with it, now you can go back in and you can actually start to sell and go more for the conversion. There are people in the e-commerce world that make an entire business out of this. They'll go ahead and put out video view content first. They'll get a lot of views and a lot of engagement because they know it's inexpensive, and then they'll take that data and they'll do this right here. They'll go ahead and create an audience like this that says, hey, Chris Record, 75% of the people that watch this video, this could be like a digital product video or an actual product video, and then go ahead and build a lookalike audience off of this, right? Or what if this was a 95% view, right? And then we come up here and we go ahead and we build a lookalike audience, right? So these are all opportunities where we can essentially take video views or take people who have engaged with lead ads, and we can essentially market back to those same people, as well as use that to use Facebook AI and build lookalike audiences, okay? So the other side of this is if you want to track on your website, you can also do that as well. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit around Facebook's Pixel. If you want to essentially set up your pixel within Meta, they have moved it. It used to be right here under Pixels. It's now under Datasets, okay? So if any of you guys know Facebook or any of these platforms, they like to keep you on your toes. I have seen Facebook change constantly since about 2013, 2014, and I can tell you that most of the changes didn't do a whole lot, except they were confusing. That is the goal of Facebook, I feel, is to just confuse you. But that being said, that's why you got us here to help walk you along. So this is the new location of the Facebook Pixel. We're going to come in here into Datasets, and we are going to go ahead and click Add, and we are going to name this data set. So we're going to go ahead and name this Atlas Example. Now, this is going to be an example of a pixel that you can essentially use on your website, right? So essentially, we were doing what a pixel does just now, using custom audiences, but doing it on events that happen on Facebook, aka video views, aka lead forms, all that kind of stuff, right? But for things that happen outside of Facebook, we are going to use this right here, which is going to be a little snippet of code that we're going to be able to put anywhere we want, okay? So once we make that here, we're going to go ahead and add people to it. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add People. I'm going to go ahead and you're going to click yourself, give yourself full control, and then go ahead and click Assign. Now, once you've done that, now you have this. You can go ahead and you can open this up in Events Manager right here. All right. And we'll see that we're right here under this, and we can go ahead and slide down here, and we're going to see that we can gather website events from browser activity, set up Metapixel, okay? Now, if you are working with a platform that has automatic integration, then this is a really cool tool. You can go ahead and click here to check for partner. This is always growing. I'm sure Chris will be trying to be integrated with as many things as possible. But this is for things like Shopify, WordPress. It'll literally kind of do the lifting for you, and you can just click the button here and it will basically walk you through the integration, okay? For putting it on high level, your website, things that may not be a partner, you're gonna go ahead and set it up manually, which is actually pretty easy. You're just gonna go ahead and click here to install the code manually, all right? Once you're here, you're gonna have your pixel code, which you are gonna go ahead and copy and go ahead and click continue. All right, and then here it's gonna ask you if you want to use advanced matching. We're gonna go ahead and skip that for now. And we're gonna go ahead and go to Pixel Overview. Now, there's this extra section here for events. This is heavily used for e-commerce, but for kind of the basic stuff that we're doing right now, we just want to kind of track the basics. So we're literally just gonna use the basic pixel and doing it and use it for high level, okay? So we go to our Pixel Overview here, and I'll give you an example on high level of how this works. You can come in here, and this is on your high level here. You can see your sites, you can see funnels. So you can see funnels up here, websites. If you want to essentially do any tracking directly on high level, then you can come in here into settings, and you can paste this guy right there in the header tracking code, okay? So this is going to track people that are basically across your whole site, okay? And you can use this on any funnel or any website that you build, and this now becomes trackable back to Facebook, right? So now you can go back and you can start to build custom audiences based on people that have landed on your site. Now, just to give you guys a little bit, and again, this is why we really like in the beginning to focus on things that are, I'm gonna go ahead and save this. But this is why in the beginning, if you are a beginner, it is nice to start off doing retargeting with things that are happening on Facebook, so that you don't have to do too much of this copy and paste coding. Because I know for me, even being tech savvy, as you start to get into some of this copy and paste stuff, it can kind of seem daunting at first, right? So that's why I wanted to kind of dive into the easy ones to start, and then this is a little bit more advanced. Now, if this was a multiple page funnel or a multiple page website, you would get into putting tracking on the different pages. If essentially, let's say you were going down a funnel and you wanted to track, if someone was an add to cart or if they purchased, you would have basically different events that you would put on the different pages. We're not going to cover that now because I feel like the biggest, most important thing for retargeting in the beginning is just soaking up everybody that's landing on your page, right? That's the easiest thing to do. Anybody that lands on your page, you take that code, you put it there, and now you can retarget any and every single person that lands on that page. Once down the road, you want to, if you want to essentially get more detailed with targeting or with pixel stuff, you can come in here to where it says edit. And this is on this page. So imagine this is multiple pages. Here we would come into the actual individual page. We would click edit page. And now we can go ahead and click up settings here at the top. And then here you'll see tracking codes. And you can paste individual tracking codes in here to track people along the different steps of your page. So this is where you're going to put in tracking to essentially track people along the path. Again, this is where it gets more advanced, and I don't want you guys to necessarily dive into this right now. I just want you to be aware that it gets deeper, right? And even Google, it gets deeper. Google is going to be one of the cool ones that I'm going to kind of give you an overview so you can understand how it works. But again, it's going to be one where there's going to be a little bit more heavy lifting. So for beginners, my advice is that you really stay primarily using Facebook in the beginning, as well as you can do some TikTok as well. I'll show you TikTok over here. And with TikTok, I would focus on the same types of things, right? So if we come in here to create audience, this is on TikTok tools. So you got to go to your TikTok Ads Manager. And then once you're in the Ads Manager, you're going to go ahead and click Tools. Oh, by the way, we had some of our ads that we ran from the other day. We could see how those guys are doing. They've still been running. Just to give you an idea, because we were running these side by side, so might as well take a look at them, right? Boom. So here you can see this is the one, let's see, right here. This is the one we just ran with you guys. So that one already brought in 45 leads at $1 each. Right on the money, right? We practice what we preach. So we got 45 leads just since our last training at $1 each. And then this guy here, it was getting 1 penny follows, but we went up a little bit. Maybe just it's a little bit older video, but we are at 2 penny follows, which is still not bad at all. Okay, so just so you guys could see, those are the ads we actually ran on the last training. Okay, so diving back over here into tools. And what we're going to do is come over here into Audience Manager. All right. Now, again, very, very similar here. This is why learning Facebook and learning TikTok is just very congruent, because TikTok literally copied Facebook. I mean, look at this. Custom audience, lookalike audience. I mean, it's literally almost identical. Now, one of the things that's not identical is this customer file. You cannot use emails with TikTok right now, unfortunately. So if you are building an email list, right now they do not support that as far as a custom audience, so you can't build lookalike audiences off of that. But you can do it off a lot of other things, right? We can use it on our for website traffic. We can use it for lead generation right here, and we can also use it for engagement on a video. So if we want to come in here just like we did on Facebook, groups all, video ads, select action, again, very similar, 75%, let's say it's in the last 90 days, engaged with video, 75%, and go ahead and click continue, right? Same exact kind of thing. Or if we wanted to do it with lead ads, custom audience, lead generation, submitted a form, or form view, right? A little bit different. We could say in the last 90 days, and this could be submitted a form. So if we wanted to build that same lookalike audience from TikTok, we could take everybody that submitted a form and we could say, hey, TikTok, go find people on your lookalike audience that match this, right? So we build the custom audience first, and then we can go and build the lookalike audience off of that. Now, TikTok does take a little bit longer with processing as far as building lookalike audiences. So with Facebook, it's pretty snappy. If you build a custom audience, you can just go right in and build a lookalike audience. TikTok lags a little bit before they have all of your data processed. But then once it is processed, you can go ahead and log in and set up the lookalike audience, okay? All right, so next part I will share with you guys is a little bit about Google, okay? So one of the things with Google is what Chris said here is they have so much ad space. Now look here, it says advertisement, and then you see right here, this is like front and center on the Washington Post, right? And you can see if you roll right here, this little symbol right here means that this is Google, right? It's taking you right into Google. It's telling you just about this ad, right? So the thing about it is nobody knows this, right? When people, imagine this could be your face right here, you know, talking about whatever product or service you want. There's actually a good friend of mine and Chris's, a guy named Lowell Rimple, who he was selling a service called Amazon Inspector. And at the time, he was putting his face on the front of his ads. And so you would go everywhere and you would see this guy's face literally everywhere. So you'd be on the Washington Post, or you go to the Huffington Post here, and you would see everywhere. Now look at this. Here's an ad in the bottom right. This one is very well targeted. Anybody recognize these guys? Can you see that in the bottom right? It is our good friends over there at High Level, okay? So again, this ad is playing on Huffington Post, but it is a Google ad, right? This is all Google ad space. So this is a really, and you'll see this everywhere. I mean, you could go to, tons and tons of different websites. I mean, even right here, look at this, front and center, this top portion right here, right there. Click on that little button, and sure enough, ads by Google, right? And so this is a really amazing trick because people don't know that you didn't do a deal with these companies independently. The first thing that people think when they see you on Washington Post, or they see you on Huffington Post, or they see you on New York Times is that you guys actually did a deal directly with these companies. That's what most people think. And so this is an extreme opportunity to build credibility, right? And so let me come back to the whiteboard real quick. So essentially, what we want to do when it comes to retargeting with Facebook and with TikTok and Google is, and again, because this is, we don't have time to cover all of this, but I still want to give you guys really the key essentials that you should know, that every company, whether they are a $100,000 company, they are $1 million company, or they are a $100 million company, they're all following this same exact formula, literally to a T. So where are people scrolling, right? People are scrolling on Facebook, IG, Instagram, we'll say TT for TikTok, and on YouTube, right? These are the areas where people are spending the most time just scrolling, right? Mindlessly scrolling, right? This is where you want to drop the pixel the most, right? And so essentially what you can do if you do this right is like what we saw with Facebook, right? Is if somebody go ahead and they engage with us and they have a video view, then now we can go ahead and we can market back to those people, right? Or if they go to a landing page, we can drop that pixel code like I showed you. And once they land on that landing page, again, we can market to them again back on Facebook and back on Instagram, right? And anytime they're going off of these platforms, we can put multiple tracking pixels, right? So if they go onto a landing page, right? So let me make one thing clear here. If they're going onto Facebook video and we pixel them essentially internally, that's where we don't have to use the code. This is going to stay just on Facebook's internal platform. So it's going to go back to Facebook, back to Instagram. We can show that ad over and over and over again. 9 times out of 10, those are going to be the best performing ads, right? Because we know that the old saying, whether it's 5 times or 7 times or 9 times, whatever the number of times are, we know that people generally have to see things more than once before converting to purchase, right? And so that's why retargeting, even if it's on the same platform going back and forth or back over and over and over again, it is 9 times out of 10 going to be your cheapest, highest converting traffic, right? Now here's the cool thing. Once they go to a landing page, so if they go to, let's say, an Atlas landing page, or they go to a high-level landing page, anywhere they go that's off of the platform. Now, the bad news is you got to deal with a little bit of code, which isn't that bad. You have to copy and paste these little snippets. Not really a big deal. If you're using a platform that has automatic integration, it's even easier. But either way, it's not too bad. Might take you a little bit to learn, but it's definitely worth it. Once they go off to a landing page, now you can have multiple pixels on that landing page, right? So we can drop, in this case, let's say they go to a landing page, we can drop a Facebook pixel, we can drop a TikTok pixel, and we can drop a Google pixel. So this is one of the big advantages is once somebody goes off onto your landing page and they're off of the platform, they're on your site, now you can have 3 different pixels now tracking them 3 different tracking beacons, right? This is where you get omnipresent on the web, and this is where it gets super powerful, right? Because now you see that video ad from Chris, right? You click on it, you go to his landing page, now he's dropped 3 different tracking pixels on you. Now you go to TikTok, well guess what? TikTok knows who you are because they've got that tracking pixel, so now they're showing you more of Chris's videos over here on TikTok, right? And they're showing it to you on Instagram. And they're showing it to you on YouTube, right? Because Google is under YouTube. But then one of the biggest ones that is really going to set you apart is Google Display, because that's where you are going to be omnipresent, right? That's the Huffington Post, that's the New York Times, that's the Washington Post, that's TMZ, that's like 90% of sites out there, right? So again, this is where you should start here on Facebook and get good at it, right? It takes some time to start to move into these other areas. So it's, you know, if anybody's there in the comments and is like, oh man, like how do I learn all of this all at once? Know that, you know, I don't even know if this is a great saying, but it's like, how do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. I don't think anybody wants to be eating any elephants. But the concept is that once you get good at this and you get comfortable, then you can kind of graduate over into TikTok because they're going to be really similar. So I would get good at Facebook, graduate into TikTok, and then graduate into Google Ads, which Google Ads is going to be Google Ads and YouTube all under one. And the powerful thing here is that you have Google Display. Now they all work the same, right? So the same way that I took and I copied and pasted that code onto the high level, the header there, is the same. It works across the board, right? So all you're doing is literally taking a snippet of code from Facebook, taking a snippet of code from TikTok, taking a snippet of code from Google Display, and now essentially anybody that lands on that page is going to have those 3 tracking beacons, right? So this is really the concept where we catch people in the beginning where they are mindlessly scrolling, right? They're mindlessly scrolling on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, and on YouTube. These are the big 4 where people are spending their time doing the thumb dance or the finger dance. This is generally where we want to get that first impression. Then, if we can get them to one of our assets, aka one of our landing pages or one of our funnels, then we can drop, again, you guys are going to start here with Facebook, and then you're going to graduate to TikTok, and then graduate to Google. But eventually, as you guys progress over the next, weeks and months with Chris, you are going to essentially be a master probably at all of these, to now when somebody lands on your page, you're going to be everywhere. You're going to be omnipresent. They can't get rid of you, right? So if you were like Lowell as an example and you put your face on the ad, not that any of you guys would want to do that, but if you did, now your face is following them around. They go to Facebook, your customer sees you. Instagram, your customer sees you. TikTok, they see you. YouTube, they see you. Google, they see you. Huffington Post, they see you. New York Times, Washington Post, TMZ, every site on the internet, they see you, right? But the trick is you're only dealing with 3 platforms. You're just dealing with Facebook, which controls Facebook and Instagram. You're dealing with TikTok, and you're dealing with Google Ads, which controls Google, YouTube, and Google Display, right? So the people watching, it's like the biggest magic trick in the world because it looks like you cut a deal with the entire internet. But to you, you secretly are kind of like Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. You know that all you're doing is just basically learning these 3 platforms that are very, very, very similar. And it's stuff that's, pretty push the purple dinosaur simple. But again, for the people watching, it looks like you are in cahoots with the internet gods. So that's what I got for this section here on retargeting. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. It was fun to be able to walk you guys through that. Again, retargeting is going to be one of those things that you are going to get your best conversions on, your cheapest conversions, and your best buyers repeatedly. So get good at this stuff, dial it in with Facebook, and then once you're good at that, you can graduate on. But again, just Facebook alone can be just beyond powerful for your guys' success. So really appreciate hanging out with you guys for this call, and I will see you guys on the next one.
Okay, so that wraps up our session on retargeting. Hopefully you guys enjoy this, and listen, when you first hear this information, it's a lot to absorb. Keep in mind that Michael has spent months learning this. I have spent months learning this. Trial and error, setting things up ourselves. So when we sit here and try to teach it in an hour or 90 minutes, it's a lot to try to cover. We're doing our best to be able to do it. Here inside of Atlas Academy, it's $20 a month for sessions like this. This session was just $1. So my question is, was this session worth at least $1? Even if you're not yet ready to go out and start placing retargeting ads, this is good information to have in your back pocket, because this information is going to come in handy at some point. Now, I want to share a couple things about what we're doing with Atlas and Internet Income System. We're actually using retargeting automatically inside of our systems. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together a tutorial video that's going to show you how to go get the pixel code, set it up, copy it, and paste it inside of Atlas, inside of Internet Income System. We're going to start retargeting your people all over the place. You're going to be able to start retargeting your people all over the place. And we're going to provide done for you ads, done for you resources, and more. So today we wanted to give you a broad general overview of what retargeting is, how it works. And now when you start looking at websites around the web, when you start going to these big sites, like all these big news sites and stuff like that, start to look at the ads, especially the big display ads, and ask yourself, is this ad actually relevant to me? Meaning, did I click on that website before? Because likely they're just retargeting you. And you're going to start to understand that you can get in on the big money paid advertising game just like that. Because they're only paying what? 20 cents, 30 cents, 50 cents in order to be able to have you see that impression. In fact, they might be paying a lot less. You can actually get the cost down significantly, sometimes paying just pennies per impression to be able to be seen. So this is great if you're trying to build a brand. It's great if you're trying to get some exposure. It's great if you're just trying to keep yourself relevant to people who have already come through your funnel. That's the power of retargeting. So on top of today's session, there will also be some additional tutorial videos to be able to help you understand more about retargeting, how it works, how to be able to set it up, and more. So I'm going to do some homework. I'm actually going to go out and find some videos that help try to break down this process for you, because yes, it might be a little bit to learn, but once you learn it, this is the ultimate cash cow. This is what we want you to eventually graduate to. We want you to start with TikTok ads, then kind of get into Facebook ads, then get into retargeting ads, then get into influencer ads. And again, if this was simple, everybody would already be doing it and it would be saturated. Because there's a little bit of a learning curve, that's actually good news for you. That literally means that you can learn it and get ahead of the competition, get in front of the competition, and be able to outperform everybody. So it's worth doing some research. Also, don't be afraid to learn some of this on your own. Go to YouTube, look up some retargeting videos, go to some blog posts, go to Google, search about retargeting ads, learn a little bit about it. Get yourself familiar with the process a little bit, because the more you understand about this, when the time is right, you will be able to take massive action. So with that being said, that brings a wrap up to day number 4 of the Paid Traffic Academy. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about influencer ads. We're going to talk about how to reach out to influencers. We're going to talk about how to be able to pay them to be able to promote your funnel and your offer to their following. Right? It's one of the greatest sources of traffic, and that's going to bring a conclusion to the Paid Traffic Academy. And as always, I want you to go inside of the Facebook group, find the paid traffic post, and I want you to comment and be able to tell us what you learned, what you liked best, what were some of your key takeaways. Okay, I want you to be able to do that. Thank you everybody for attending live with us on Zoom. For everybody that's watching the replay, we appreciate each and every single one of you, and we look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's episode.
Traffic and conversions. Traffic and conversions. Traffic and conversions. Traffic. Check out my traffic and conversions. Conversions on my traffic. And the keywords they keep searching for on Google got the magic. They buying up my fashion. Now I'm shipping out my package. Taking massive action while I cash in on my passion. I'm a savage. Always watching Google Analytics. And retargeting my visits while I'm scaling up my business. Yes, up in the audience, keep asking what my niche is. Which is why I keep it secret to avoid the competition. Unless your name is Damon, then I'm pitching you my vision. Or you're richer than Mark Cuban, then I'm pitching my invention. Maybe I should mention, man, I'm always on a mission. Turning clicks into cash, power and position. It's my traffic and conversions. focused on my service. See, the customers are happy, there's no refunds to our merchants. Marketers get nervous when their product's really worthless. They keep acting like they gurus with no passion and no purpose.
Traffic leads sales, traffic leads sales. Traffic leads sales, traffic leads sales. Traffic leads sales, traffic leads sales. Tell them what you want, tell them what you want.
All these amateurs are fighting over cameras and lighting when they should be at the summit to improve their copywriting. Clearly they are biting and their copy ain't exciting. Plus the pages ain't inviting and their customers ain't buying.
Fake it till you make it.
Now you know that's outdated. Customers are anxious and they following you daily. Yeah, maybe you could trick them for a while, but if you're shady, all that karma will catch up in this era of transparency.
Digital marketing.
Skills are the currency. I'm building my portfolio and killing with my agency. Focused on relevance. Now I got a following. Building out my funnel and developing my offering. Marketing won't ever stop. When kids up in the parking lot keep talking a lot about careers that keep popping off. They're growing up. Instagram keeps on blowing up. Now in comes the army of the digital marketer.
Traffic and conversions, traffic and conversions, traffic and conversions, traffic and what? Traffic and conversions, traffic and conversions, traffic and conversions.